What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Triple H podcast, a Halloween bonanza for the Happy Hour Hoops boys here. Happy Halloween, everybody, and welcome back to the Triple H podcast, the show all about hoops, presented by Trainwreck Sports, here with Steve, Jake, and myself. Happy Halloween, fellas. About 2 weeks into the NBA season, and it's time to get spooky.
Happy Halloween, gentlemen. Dressed up today. Big costume for me. We're Luca with a much better haircut. Luca's haircut's rough. Mine's not good. His is rough. So we're Luca with a slightly better haircut today.
So we have Luka Doncic, as seen by Steve. Jake, is that Andre Iguodala you got on there?
That is Max Kellerman's own Andre Iguodala.
I love it. Jake, if he has one guy on the line to take the shot, he's choosing Iguodala. I didn't go Luka. I went Luke Skywalker, actually, folks. So I am in costume as promised on Twitter here. Little Jedi on the mic tonight. Got my lightsaber and all. But
I love it. It's lit.
Yeah, quite literally. But yeah, we're here. Happy Hour Hoops. It's Halloween, and we'll get things started like we always do, guys. Let's do the news and notes. Before we do like the heavy duty information stuff, anything from last night that you guys want to touch on? Obviously, you know, Jake, we have the Cavaliers at just coming into the league super hot this year. Looking fierce, looking like one of the best teams in the league, if not the best right now. Any quick thoughts on the Cavaliers?
It's been pretty fun. It's been a pretty fun 5 games, I would have to say. It looks like a completely different offense, and that players look like they got some freedom, some ball movement. It's too early to tell, but there's been some good. The last 2 games are good, feel-good wins. You win at MSG. In a tough game like that, Darius Garland goes off Monday night, and then you beat LeBron in his big homecoming game where half the crowd is cheering for the Lakers in that game. And they don't just beat them. They were up 42-23 at the end of the first quarter and never let go of it. Feels like that team was, trying to do that last night, trying to send a message. This isn't your same old Cavaliers, LeBron coming in as like anything but another team coming in there. It felt like they wanted to get them out of that building. They worked them, so you're feeling good as a Cavs fan. But there's still a lot of challenges along the road. They play the Bucks twice in the next couple games. They play the Magic on Friday, so the next 3-game stretch will tell us a lot about this team. If somehow they were 8-0 out of this, by the time we're here next week, I don't even know how I'd be acting. But a lot of games, a lot of time till then. We'll see what happens.
Love it. Yeah, and we saw not only the Cavs, big statement win with LeBron and Bronny coming home to Cleveland. Obviously, the Indiana Pacers took down the Boston Celtics last night, handing them their first loss of the season. Pacers get some revenge from the Eastern Conference Finals. We saw a battle of the 1 and 2 pick from last night. Chet and Wemby battle that we're going to talk about later. The Warriors with a nice win against the Pelicans. We're going to be talking about the Warriors later on in this episode as well. So just like the, first part of the season, we're about 2 weeks in now. Last night also did not disappoint with some good stuff going on. Also going to be talking about the TV schedule for next year. So block your ears if you don't like watching your sports in a bunch of different places, because this is just the way we're headed. Obviously, we see it a lot with football as is right now. Just things that are rumbling. We're here for next year are, Amazon Friday nights. So we have the prime Thursday on Amazon after football ends, plus some Black Friday games. NBC will have Sunday night after football ends, Monday night on Peacock, Tuesday night on NBC, ESPN with the classic Wednesday night, Saturday nights, Sunday afternoons after football ends, which that last one, ESPN, was kind of standard. We're used to that schedule, but Any thoughts here on the TV? That I hate this. I mean, I hate it.
No, me too.
The biggest difference about ESPN is that it'll be Amazon Friday nights, no ESPN Friday nights anymore.
Yes, true.
Don't like that.
Here's the thing is, guys, you say you hate it now, but what if that Amazon crew that's Thursday and Friday nights is just inside the NBA? And it's just
Then I'm in.
Kevin Harlan and Ian Eagle doing the doubleheader both nights.
Then I'm in. But
I feel like that's who's getting them. Like, they're gonna end up doing basketball somewhere. There's no way they're staying with Turner and doing whatever Charles is saying there. And Amazon makes all the sense in the world. Like, you see how you guys have watched the halftime show, I'm sure, and the pregame show for the prime games for Thursday night football. It's a good formula for those guys, and those guys are not half as interesting as the inside crew. Imagine the inside crew doing that on a Thursday night, like the format those people get.
Yeah, I mean,
it'll cook. So I know it is tough, and it's going to be annoying as hell to be watching on Prime and then trying to watch on League Pass or watching on Prime and doing that.
Yeah, it's the navigation for me more than
anything.
Peacock. The Peacock games are going to be.
Oh, don't start with the Peacock. The Peacock's the
you don't have
Peacock.
See, as a wrestling fan, I've had Peacock since day one, so it doesn't bother me at all.
Well, that's a problem. I have them because I'm addicted to watching the NBA. I'm addicted to watching sports. So now they put it on a new streaming platform, and I'm like, well, I gotta get it because I have it. And they're cracking down on the quote unquote illegal streaming.
They're not cracking down on nothing. I listened to a whole hour podcast, and the guy basically said they can't do nothing about it. I was worried when I saw the podcast.
Well, then I'm gonna need some links after this show because the issue is obviously with those streams sometimes the quality, right? But, but the issue is
he is in a unique situation here in Chicago because they just cut their ties with NBC Sports Chicago, started up their own network, and then haven't made a deal with the biggest provider in all of Chicago, Comcast, to show Bulls or Blackhawks games at the start of the season. But you can watch it on Antenna.
You know what? You're watching it on Antenna, JBC, and I'm going to shout out your Bulls because you're watching 20-point comebacks on Antenna, including one last night over the Orlando Magic where you held the Magic to 12 points in the fourth quarter. So you know what? If that's how you got to watch the Bulls and those are the results you're going to get, JBC, I think the Antenna's worth it. But like I said, the main reason I'm upset about this, and I think Dunny's in the exact same thought with me, is the fact that we're going to get it. We're going to watch it. Like, you could be like, hey, Steve, the Mavs are playing on USA tonight. You got to pay $50 to watch. I'm like, well, looks like I lost $50.
Yeah.
Looks like I got to make a $50 bet to hopefully break even on this because I'm not going to watch. And I think that's my biggest issue is I just remember kind of the day back in the day where I could just flip channels on the TV and you're just lounging. You got one remote and you're flipping channels on the TV. I'm tired of switching from one service to the other. And it's, it sounds like I'm crying about, first world problems, whatever. But the fact of the but that's the thing. The fact of the matter is just I am complaining about it because it not only is it inconvenient, but it's so much more expensive at the end of the day.
Right.
And that's kind of the biggest complaint is because there are some people like me and Dunny that are like, you know what, we're just gonna watch regardless. We're annoyed. We're gonna complain about 100%. It, but we're gonna buy the packages and watch. But there's also people who aren't because they're priced out. Because they don't want to, because they're like, it's not worth it. I have a lot of friends that are like, I just don't care enough about the NFL to get Peacock. I'll miss a game here or there. And I don't want that to turn into every sport. And it feels like the NBA is going in that direction. And I understand it from a business side. I get it. I understand that. I'm not saying that this is bad for the NBA, bad for business. But the fact of the matter is this kind of hurts some of the casual common fans that are like just watching, like you said, Jake, an ESPN Friday night. They're just flipping channels on their TV, right? And then they get to Friday night and they're like, ooh, Celtics Bucks. I'm going to watch that for a little bit. There's no channel surfing if that's now on Amazon. You have to be dedicated to go watch that. And I think that kind of hurts your fan base a little bit, kind of spreads it out. And I don't love that direction. It like I said, it feels a little corporate greed to me. And I'm addicted to the NBA. I'll fully admit it. I'm addicted to all sports. I think we all know that by now. So I'm going to get it. But there's a lot of people I feel like that aren't like me that are just kind of more, I guess, against this. And they're just going to be like, oh, the NBA is not on ESPN Friday night anymore. I'll just watch something else on cable. I'm not going to get Amazon just to watch the NBA.
Yeah. No, it's weird. It's definitely a money thing. Money rules all after all.
Yeah.
And that's what we're dealing with here. I did
Well,
hear some rumblings that
they're also haven't had great TV ratings to start the year either, which is
Right.
and it's
Fair.
I don't like a ton of ratings discourse. It's going back to wrestling. It's an annoying week to week thing, but when you see things down over year to year, it's tough. And the opening game has been down year to year. The opening week has been down the last couple of years. So those are things that are concerning when you have a new TV deal, as you guys are saying, where things are going to be more limited. Luckily, they can probably lie about the Amazon Prime numbers now because no one gets those
Right.
fancy streaming details at all. So it's just yeah, it's who knows. It's going to be it's a weird world we're in for if you want to just watch your teams, even just your teams. It's hard to figure out.
Yeah, it's a weird spot. I don't like it mostly for the navigation, like I mentioned. NBC, I saw possibly bringing in Blake Griffin to do most of their basketball stuff. I saw Amazon might be trying to fight to get Blake to do stuff with them. So that's just an exciting like new face, new personality. Most people love Blake Griffin. He's a big personality. He tried the stand up comedy career. He's a frequent guest on podcasts, so that could be interesting. New face, new look. If one of these, newcomers to the NBA takes over, maybe a Blake Griffin would give them a little bit of a pop. But yeah, we'll see. Next year will definitely be interesting for the TNT guys and everything in between.
Yeah, for sure.
Starting 5 season 2 on Netflix, the roster was announced.
Oh,
I haven't finished season 1 yet, but everything I've seen so
Same.
far I've loved. And this is, I think, a great second crew. Jaylen Brown, a second Celtic being in the second season. I love that. Kevin Durant, who's just, everyone seems to be infatuated with Kevin Durant and what's going on in his life. Halliburton, another fan favorite, SGA, and then of course James Harden, who is, love him, hate him. He's James Harden. People are going to be talking about him. So good cast there. Have you guys seen any of the first season?
I actually haven't. But I've also not usually the person to kind of watch these shows. Like I didn't watch the quarterback one either. Like it's one of those you got to sit down and watch. I haven't like really felt the need to. This group of characters though kind of interesting. There's a couple interesting ones. I might just watch just for the KD because you guys know how I love KD and just kind of KD, I feel like is the last person who'd want to do something like this, but at the same time, too, I think he'd be the most interesting for starting 5. So we'll see.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of the first season. I've liked it so far. I'll watch it through the next couple of weeks, just throw it on in the background or something like that. It's been good though. It's nice to see those. It's good to see this, like how the life of an NBA player is. Like it's so crazy what their life actually is. And so I think Starting 5 does a really good job of showing them just like within their daily lives and how much preparation and work they're doing, but also just like how much downtime they have and what they do with it in the city and everything else and spend it. So yeah, this is a great group to see. And I like that it's JB after doing it a year with Tatum. And I'm sure that they just like got close with that group, even with the Netflix people. They just got used to them being around for 9 months. So it's probably the same, I bet you they would send the same people if it went well the first time and everything. So that's kind of a cool development. Like they obviously know these guys already too and have been around with them. So maybe they'll get some better stuff because of that.
Yeah. No, it should be good. Bronny's first bucket last night. I think the biggest thing for me is just what a relief this must be for him. Like obviously, all the different storylines of last night, him and his dad returning to Cleveland, both playing alongside one another now. Like you said, Jake, like half the crowd was just rooting for the Lakers at different points of this game. But I'm sure for him, just like getting the first NBA basket in this atmosphere out of the way. Like this is a guy who's obviously not going to play too much or too many minutes this entire season. At least that's how it looks for right now. Obviously, room to grow. But that's all I could, happy for him. It was a very cool moment, but that's all I could think of was like it's probably just such a relief at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say something that's probably unpopular, but can we be done with the coverage about Bronny now? Like, I get it. Listen. I understand.
You think we're gonna be done now?
No,
Steve?
no, oh no, not at all. I don't. Jake,
You're
I'm
just
not
asking
naive.
nicely.
I'm not naive. I'm just saying I'm so sick and tired of this. I'm done with it. Like JJ Redick, the first game acting like he didn't really understand them. You knew exactly what was going on there when he came into the court. All right, you played your first game with your dad. You got your first basket. What's the next milestone that he can realistically reach, right? He's not getting a double-double. He's not scoring 20. He's coming off the bench and playing in garbage time. So, like, I know we're not going to be done with the coverage, but ESPN, I get it. Hits first basket, but be better. The highlight, the top story was Bronny James scores first basket. You lost to the Cavs by 20. You lost to the Cavs by 20. I'm tired of it. Like, I get it. It's a feel-good story. It's awesome. It's great. We got the game out of the way. We got the basket out of the way. Now let's be realistic. Is Bronny James a very good basketball player? No. Should he be on an NBA roster right now currently? No. Should he be in the G League just kind of doing this thing? Sure. Should he actually be at college because he could barely get on the court at USC? That's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is that I know the coverage isn't going to stop about it, but come on. You got the moment. Now you got the basket in Cleveland. I mean, this is so staged. I mean, guys, this is so staged. First game debut at home in LA, right? The team that drafts and plays with LeBron. And then you score in Cleveland. This is all for LeBron. I feel bad for Bronny. I genuinely feel bad
why
for
do you
Bronny.
Why do you think the schedule, why else would Cleveland visit even happen this early in the season?
That's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. I genuinely feel bad for Bronny because this is all for LeBron. But all right, what realistically now can we make a big deal out of? A game-winning shot? No, he's not going to do that. He's not going to put up like numbers where we're going to care. No, I'm done. I'm done if that's the case. You'll see like Austin Reeves. It's like, oh yeah, like he's got like a sore leg or something. He's out for tonight, and they're like, oh, let's start Bronny. No, and then Bronny will get out of the game a minute in because there'd be like we're playing 4-on-5. No. No.
JJ Redick decides to bring Anthony Davis off the bench and Bronny James starting.
You're right, Jake, though. That's probably the next move. That makes me sick to my stomach right now. Because there's no statistical things he can do. He's not good.
He's going to South Bay. He's going to go play in the G League. Let Bronny cook in the G League.
Yeah. So
cook. Let Bronny hang out in the G League.
Let Bronny cook.
Hang out. Go cook. That's that lunchable meme. That's that meme. Let Bronny cook, where it's a lunchable meal and it's a burnt meal. Yeah, that's him cooking in the G.
We'll have to check in next week to see where we're at on the Bronny meter.
I'm gonna bring my Bronny South Bay Lakers updates for Steve.
Yeah,
that's the whole season.
Oh, we'll have to.
When you
Bronny
see that 16 and the 10 that he gets, ooh.
Don't even stop it. I can't.
The injury news this week, a lot thinner, a lot less than last week, which is great. Scotty Barnes, unfortunately, out at least 3 weeks with an orbital fracture. And then I just kind of saw this before we started and let you guys know, but Paolo Banchero has a right abdominal strain and is listed as questionable for the Cavaliers game Friday night. So doesn't seem too serious for Paulo. Obviously, we'd like to see a rematch of the playoffs there with Paulo healthy. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Still questionable for Friday night, but that is the news and notes, folks.
Yeah. I mean, couple not major injuries, but just injuries to keep eyes on. It's just guys that are out a couple games. I think Desmond Bane, Zach LaVine also banged up too, Dunny. So it's the classic. We're only a week and a half into the NBA season. I'm already like, oh, these guys are day to day for Friday night. Like, just let me know. But yeah, Sky Barnes the only major one, and not great because Toronto doesn't look too good.
No, they do not.
No, not at all. Not at all. But all right, we got some. JVC also Lonzo with a wrist injury for the next.
That's right. The poor Bulls, man.
It sucks because it's a good thing. Obviously, not good that he's injured. It's a good thing there's no lower leg injury or
Right.
anything with the knee. But yeah, just tough break for Alonso and the Bulls.
Yeah, tough. But the
Bulls are
Bulls, yeah,
3-2. They're 3-2.
Yeah.
Couple
Big
20-point
comeback last night.
comebacks. Yeah, beat the Magic. That's a quality win nowadays.
Yeah, there you go,
That is.
JBC.
There you go. Yeah, JBC's got me feeling good. All right, it's time for three big things. Dunny, we're gonna start with you this week.
And that's
What
very
and
fitting.
it's perfect timing. We gotta start with you because it segues right into this. What you're bringing to the table here.
Yeah, and it really sucks that he is in fact injured right now, and I hope it is just short term, like it sounds, because Paulo Banchero might be him. He might be on a faster trajectory than we thought. He might just be better than we thought he was going to be, because so far with this group and him kind of growing and the Magic giving him the keys to this team, he looks incredible this year, nearly averaging 30 points per game, 9 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game, all on 50% shooting. Oh, yeah, and he's already had a 50-point game this year, and we're 5 games in. The Magic look great. Paulo looks great. I knew he was a talented wing who could do some of this stuff. I don't think I ever saw this coming. And here we are, man. This is, one of the younger stars in the entire NBA. He's just blowing me away so far. Like this is Paulo Banchero, and I think we have to get used to it. It's just a 6'10" guy who can move like that, shoot like that, score like that, and then everything else in between. So shout out Paulo Banchero, and if you're a Magic fan, man, you must be over the moon for this guy.
It's kind of crazy, Donnie, because there might have been some person last week who brought this up and said we got to treat Paulo Banchero like a superstar, and that age like fine wine when he has 50 points. This coming week, he had 37 at halftime. He almost had a triple-double at halftime. It's like 37 points, like 8 rebounds or 6 assists or something at half. Crazy. The Magic are playing the exact kind of basketball that we kind of hoped they would play this year, right? Where they don't really need to shoot you out of the gym. They're gonna play their defensive style, and when you do that, you have to kind of rely on one guy to carry your offense. And I love Wagner, and Jalen Suggs, I think, has made another step this year. But you're right, Dunny. I mean, the biggest change I think for Paulo Banchero this year was he said he kind of changed up his shooting mechanics, right? And everyone's kind of like, all right, well, we'll see it we'll believe it when we see it. But man, his outside shooting game has already jumped up. I know it's a small sample size. I know it's early in the season, but he just looks so much more comfortable shooting outside. His 3-point shots, his percentages, or efficiencies, all much better. It's actually kind of been a joy to watch. And this is one of those guys, which I think we talked about in the offseason show, where he doesn't get the respect as these other superstars, where it's like not the fact that it's like people discredit him, right? But he's not talked about in the light of like some of these other young superstars. And the fact of the matter is he's right there with them. He could take over pretty much any game. He's a great two-way player. He's good at defense, is on offense. Like you said, he's really improved shooting this year, and it's going to be a fun thing to watch this year, because I think this Magic team is only going to get better and better. And Paulo is starting to take that leap where we're going to start to hear his name in the general media a lot more often if he starts putting up these stat lines that he did like earlier this week.
Yeah, it's a sight to see, man, and it's crazy because it's only year 3 for him. Like, we don't see this often. I know obviously everyone knew who he was coming out of college, and he went to Duke and all that good stuff. But the fact that the leap he made, and like you mentioned, Steve, like his shooting's improving every year. The defense was already there. He has a great defensive cast around him. Other than the very, very top of the East, and even the teams like the Knicks and the Sixers have some question marks. Like it's not wide open like years past in the East, but outside of the Celtics and I guess the Cavs right now, Jake, like the Magic, they can be up in the top 4 teams in the East if they keep this rolling and Paulo can continue what he's doing.
I have a question for you guys. Kind of more of like not even a question. Just how many players in the Eastern Conference would you take over Paolo Banchero right now? Eastern Conference, how many? Dunny, I know you're taking Tatum, and I agree. I agree with Tatum there. You take Jaylen Brown or Paolo Banchero?
Jaylen.
I think I take Jaylen.
I think I'm still taking Jaylen, but that's close.
I'm taking Mitchell. I'm taking Mitchell. I'm taking
Giannis. I'm taking Giannis. Are you taking Embiid?
I'm taking Paolo there, man.
I think I take Paolo.
I don't think I could take Embiid.
All things considered, like injuries obviously are real in this scenario.
Yeah, you have to play that in with
I'm
Embiid.
taking Jordan Poole.
Stop it.
Bro, 12. He's 12th in fantasy ranking right now. Just letting you know.
Yeah, because all he does is shoot. All he does is shoot.
That's great. That's what I need.
Yeah, I know that's what you need.
Jordan Poole.
I would take
conversation about Poole.
Oh,
LaMelo?
No.
Or Paolo?
No, LaMelo?
I'm taking Paolo there.
If LaMelo can be healthy for a year.
He's great. Paolo. Yeah, I'm not discrediting LaMelo here. Paolo. Let's see.
I think Maxey.
Paolo. Jalen Brunson or Paolo?
Paolo.
I'm going Paolo as well. I'm going Tyrese Halliburton or Paolo. I think you got to go Paolo at this point.
I mean, Halliburton's like the third best player on his team at this point.
It looks like it. It really does. It really does look like it. Not good for him.
I think it just might. I think it just might be the Jays.
Butler.
Paolo.
Who would Jake say?
Jimmy Butler or Paolo?
Oh, Paolo.
Bam.
Paolo.
Closer,
Bam's
but Paolo.
tough. I think I'd take Bam.
I think I'm only taking the Jays and Giannis over Paolo in the East right now.
I'm with Jake. I think
I'm taking Mitchell. Come on.
I'm taking Mitchell.
We just saw them duel. We just watched them duel.
I agree. I think the Cavs supporting cast is a lot better than the Magic.
In that game 7, they were not.
Fair.
True.
Fair. I just also think too the defense with Paolo is a big reason I take him over.
That's why I'm taking Trey. Yo, we need Trey to get to San Antonio.
Trey Young's really good. Yeah, he's so
Trey's
good,
nasty.
Man.
Dude, the Murray thing in hindsight never should have happened because both those guys just need the ball in their hands.
Yes.
And Trey Young
was just like, why the fuck did you guys bring this guy in?
Trey Paolo's tough.
That's the thing. I'll go with Paolo because I think
I got to go
Trey hater as I used to be.
I'm
loosening up because it's wild at this point.
If I'm a GM, I think I would have to go Paolo there. Just youth, size, both sides of the ball.
Trey's still a liability on defense too.
Yeah, and like the way wings are valued in today's NBA, I mean, he's 6'10". And
he's a 6'10" wing who can now stretch the floor.
At that point, it's no disrespect to Trey Young. It's just an NBA size thing there. But yeah, this is interesting, man. Like Paolo, that just goes to show you what we took like collectively 5, maybe 6 guys over him. I think
I got 3.
Yeah,
I got 3 in the East over Paolo.
I think 5 or 6 guys are arguable. I think the 3 of us, me and Jake, have 4. You have 3. Like. It just goes to show you, man. This is the 3rd year for this guy, and we're talking about him like that. So incredible. I know I'm running a little long on my one of the 3 big
Kobe
things.
White.
I do just.
Come on.
I have an additional to mine.
Don't do that to me, Jake. Don't make me hurt JBC. Don't make me hurt JBC.
I have an additional big thing. Nothing to do with Paolo Banchero, but Steven Adams played in his first game back since we last recorded. And it was fucking awesome, man. Like this guy gets in the game. He gets into a jump ball situation with Keldon Johnson. And Keldon Johnson's like fighting for it on the ground. Steven Adams picked Keldon Johnson off the ground because they're both holding on to the ball. And then later in that game, he gets an offensive rebound over Wemby. And the caption to the video I saw was Steven Adams politely pushes Wemby out of the way for an offensive rebound. And then you watch the clip, and that's exactly what happened. Steven Adams just like very lightly put his hand on Wemby's chest. That was enough. He got the rebound. So Steven Adams is like one of those side characters in like a really good movie or TV show that like he needs to be there. You know, he's never going to blow you away or be the star of the show. But Steven Adams is great for the league. Happy to see him back.
Yeah.
On that note, I'm switching my big thing up, and I'm gonna jump in here because I now know what I need to talk about, and I don't know why I can't get this Paulo thing to go. Anyways, we'll figure. Okay, here we go. This is what we need to talk about. This is the biggest news. It has nothing to do with anything on the basketball court, anything wise. Joe Mazzulla, one of my favorite human beings in the world. I know one of Dunny's favorite human beings in the world. Said the other day he doesn't know why the NBA doesn't have fighting anymore. He said you're allowed to fight in these sports with sticks and pucks, which I guess just hockey is what he was talking about, shove around and all these other things, but we're not allowed to. I think I need to find this whole exact quote because I just decided this in the second. But what do you guys feel? The biggest thing that we rob from an entertainment standpoint is you can't fight anymore. I wish we'd bring back like fighting. That's an exact quote from Joe Mazzulla, head coach, and I agree with him. I think that this is crazy that you aren't allowed to have a little tussle on the court. Now I understand the NBA's history with this. That's a long time ago, though. That's a long time ago. Long time.
It doesn't really line up with trying to have player safety in all these leagues when the NBA basically it's just a jersey and shorts. And what do you want? People throwing punches at one another? We've already seen some bad head injuries before, and that's just asking for more. I mean, I think the refs, they let it go sometimes, but obviously you can't throw punches or anything at this point. But they do call the whistles pretty early now. Also, too, I think we have to remember, guys, NBA players are bigger than every other sport, like just athletically. These guys are huge. These guys are 6'8" on average. I think the average height in the NBA is 6'7", like 230 pounds. Like, this is not like a little tussle. You have to talk with hockey too. Like, they have a style of fighting. How are you going to enforce a style of fighting in the NBA? It's just
you're telling me they can't have a gentleman's agreement in that fight? It's like a duel.
What's your gentleman's agreement?
Draymond does a little bow and then does some karate trick or something. Yeah, it's just something like that. Come on. No, I really don't think there should be full blown fighting, but I do think they need to let them I do think they need to let them get in each other's faces and shut and you can cut it off at a certain point.
There should be
but I think they need to let that emotion go out because it turns into a better product and will help more people watch those games because that's how rivalries are going to get people back into the NBA. Rivalries are what drive
until a superstar gets injured this way, though, right? Then it's just
well, yes, of course, but your superstar could also be smart enough to get out of these things. It happens in all these other sports too. You're worried about your particular superstar who would be involved in a lot of these arguments and disagreements.
Well, no, he would be fighting refs. He wouldn't be fighting other players. He'd be fighting refs. You see the technical foul Luka got Tuesday night?
I did not know.
He barely said anything. I think he said the magic word, but he turned and it was quiet and they teed him up and I was like, okay, guys. I was like, hey, how long's Luka been in the league? He runs his mouth. Let him just talk what he wants in Slovenian, and then just be done with it. I'm tired. I'm tired of players not being able to talk shit to one another or talk to each other. That's I think the issue, not just. That was
Mazzulla's deeper point actually too, because a reporter asked him about it today, I believe, just because it's been getting so much buzz. It was either today or yesterday. And he kind of doubled down, but answering in more of what you're saying, Steve. He was like, these guys need to be able to express themselves is more what I meant. And he just thinks that, and he actually brought up field hockey, lacrosse, obviously football, regular hockey. And you bring up a good point where these are sports with a lot of pads and basketball is just jerseys and shorts.
Right.
But he's saying you can express yourself physically in all these sports. Basketball is really the only sport where that doesn't happen in our entire country because, again, it is, probably an equipment issue. But at the same time, think about what the NBA looked like in the 80s. Now, do I think it needs to look like that? No, but there probably is a middle ground where maybe you wait, whether it's 3 seconds before you actually intervene and just let these guys, go head to head and argue or push each other a couple times. Obviously, I think there should still be fines for, if you punch someone in the face or whatever. And a reporter actually said, so you want guys to punch each other? And Joe said, I never said punching. I never said throwing punches. He said there's other ways you can fight without punching. And of course, people who are Celtics fans or just are sickos about the NBA know that Mazzulla is a jiu-jitsu guy. He loves the UFC. So he loves fighting in all forms. I think more what he was getting at was just like, can we be a little more physical in this sport that should be more physical? And I tend to agree.
The quote here he has is, we have to be okay with a little conflict. That's how I would say
I agree.
it. And that's what I agree. There has to be a level of tension in a professional sporting event for people to be interested in it. You have to have that sense of urgency. It's supposed to feel like a dog-eat-dog world. And if that means a little bit of a hard foul or something like that, and it causes guys to be yelled, that just means they're in it as much as anything. And you can do things to stop it from being, the suspensions and everything are going to stop most guys from, money talks, right? Like, it's going to stop most guys from doing something crazy, but you can let tensions boil up a little bit because it might be better for the TV product. We've seen that in all things.
Yeah. I
don't know about the power play thing though.
Yeah, no, not the power.
Nah, he's right, bro. Put somebody in a box for 30 seconds.
I was gonna say it would have to be.
I don't know how you would. It would have to be 30 seconds.
Yeah,
hockey, so even 2 minutes is a long time to me. Like, the power
2 minutes in the NBA would be bad.
Making them do it in just a shot clock length, so 24 seconds, guy has to run off, the 24 seconds start. So like the next time the shot clock resets, a guy leaves, you have to go 4-on-5 and like basically game plan on the fly. I think that would be pretty interesting.
I think the issue with that though would be hockey power play. Good teams are around 25%, 30% success rate.
Yeah.
Good team in the NBA on 5-on-4 would be 90+.
Yeah,
there's you know what I mean. Like we've seen this before when you're playing pickup with your boys. How to balance teams is like, all right, we'll put the worst guys and have it be 4-on-3. And it's a fair game because in the NBA, that's such an advantage. You talk about court spacing nowadays too. I mean, that is just asking for a free basket at that point. So I don't think that would ever work in the NBA because the success rate would just be too high. I mean, Dunny, imagine your Celtics on a 5-on-4. Nobody. They're 100%. The only time they miss is if they try to dunk and it hits the back of the rim and bounces off.
Right.
Because no one's taking a shot at that point too. They're just passing until the guy cuts to the hoop.
Yeah.
This is completely off this topic, but what do you guys think of the discussion that's been going on about making contact dunks worth 3 points? Have you guys seen any of that discourse? That the way to change basketball now to make it evolve beyond just 3-pointers is that you do contact dunks worth 3 points, and it brings the same value back around.
I don't think dunking and scoring in the paint's really the issue. I think the biggest issue, right, is it's only dunking layups or 3-pointers. The mid-range game is completely abolished. I think that's where the big issue is with scoring. So I don't really think the
corner needs to go. I really think the corner needs to go in every arena. I really think they need to get rid of the corner.
That. You might be right. I don't want it to go, but you might be right. But I think the big issue is just no one wants to shoot the mid-range anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. That doesn't change the value problem at the very least.
It's an interesting one. I think that would be the contact dunk thing would almost be like up for too much debate. It's like, what's the contact dunk at that point then? Because obviously an and one, you already get rewarded with a free throw.
I guess it would have to be like breakaway dunk, like half, like in a set or something. Like if you get a breakaway of any sort, that's 2 points.
How about you throw it off the backboard to yourself and dunk it 4 points?
Yeah, like a post, like just like a poster in general being worth 3. Like it would incentivize people to attack more.
The problem with that too also is it becomes like the ref's discretion, right?
Yeah.
At that point, you don't have a clear cut. This is 3. This is 2. The ref could be like, he was to the side, or he was this. And what does that turn into, guys? When it's the ref's discretion, it turns into more stoppages and reviews, and that's the exact opposite of what you want for game flow.
Here's truly what the NBA needs to do, and it would piss a lot of people off, but it would make the most sense. They need to decide whatever median 3-point percentage they want the league to be at. So say that's 37.5%. They're like, that's where we want the league at, and move the line to where that would be for most players. Like you know what I mean? Like each year, like
Move
okay,
it back.
or forward, depending on if like a year it was if like they were okay. Everybody only shot 34% this year. We got to move the line up and make it easier. And then if they shoot over that mark, okay, we got to move it back. You know what I mean? Like have a line that you're trying to adjust it to. So your 3 points are always like, the game doesn't change that much. It changes with the flow of how the league is going, not dictating it the other way. Yeah. Yeah. Like that's one of the new rules. The 3-point line is this long this year. So no, you can't ever really build around it. The elite shooters, it's never going to matter for, but you have to be a balanced team no matter what. That's another thing that I think could be interesting. Like keeping the league average of the 3-point like controlled almost, so that the game feels a certain way.
You know what I think might actually fix it for floor spacing and everything is if they got rid of defensive 3 seconds. If you could just have your big man post up down low, because it may not change the threes, but it'll allow your kind of guards to play a little more face guard defense on the 3-point arc, and it'll encourage teams to probably shoot more mid ranges, because that's going to be what's more open. I mean, how many teams are going to be driving on the Spurs if Wemby can stand in the paint the whole game? And I also think too, people will be like, well, no one's gonna, you're not gonna see dunks, you're not gonna see layups. Anthony Edwards still gonna dunk it. Like guys are still who dunk are still gonna dunk it,
because you can't play 5-on-4 in the perimeter all game.
Exactly. And the defensive 3 seconds, it just forces so much rotation. And Dunny, I think you've watched enough Celtics games where that's where the good teams beat you. They catch you on the rotations. That's where they beat you, on those offenses that are very good at passing, very good at getting guys open, very good at kind of driving and kicking out to the threes, is because of the rotations. But what if you have a big man who can just stand in the paint and not have to worry really about moving out, you're really not going to see that many guards kind of driving and then kick out to a wide open 3, because guys are going to be able to kind of stay in their spots, stay on their man, and not really have to worry about, oh, I got to rotate down here. That's what I think, rather than changing the arc or actually changing the shot. You take away that rule, I think it might make the shot charts look a little different than just right underneath the paint and outside the arc.
Yeah. I think adopting considering adopting like any FIBA rule isn't the worst idea. Like I could be down with the defensive 3-second thing to remove that. Any rim protection rule, the offensive goaltending. And
they're too tall for goaltending, though. That's the issue.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's too many giants.
Yeah, there's already calls now where it's like,
yeah, so what do you do?
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. I mean, is the NBA a perfect product? No, I love how it is now, and we'll love it forever. But I think there's definitely probably improvements that can be made, and I think definitely in our lifetime, probably within the next 5-10 years, we'll see some interesting changes, I believe.
Blame Steph Curry if you're complaining about the NBA right now. I'm being completely honest. Blame him. He's taught 29 other teams that if you shoot a bunch of threes and you have guys who are decent at making them, you can win in this league.
Yep.
Three is and will always be more than 2.
Thank you, Donnie. That's math right there, guys.
That's
Happy hour hoops math.
That's my Jedi wisdom for the episode.
All right, Steve, you're going to talk about a guy that looks nothing like Steph Curry, though.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about a guy that, we touched on a little bit for this team. We're all very high on him, but it's Chet Holmgren, man, and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I know we talked about Banchero as the first pick in that draft and how good the Magic has been. We got to give some love to Chet Holmgren, because I think I don't want to say this because I don't want to come across the wrong way, but I almost think Chet getting injured in the preseason of his rookie year was kind of the best thing for him.
Yep.
He was able to develop, kind of bulk up, get stronger, a whole off season of practice. Last year was treated as kind of a true rookie year, and he was fantastic. And the biggest concern about Chet when he came out of Gonzaga was, is he going to be able to be strong enough for the NBA? And there were no doubt. He looked like he grew up, right, at the end of last year. And now you have this year where it feels like his breakout season. and including myself, was talking about this is going to be the year Wemby just wows people. And we're like, oh, yeah, he's just different. We haven't seen that so far. Wemby's had an okay start to the year, but we haven't really seen that jump into MVP type of Victor Wembanyama, which we're expecting to see. But Chet Holmgren, man, is now looking like the clear number 2 option in this Oklahoma City Thunder team. And I give that a lot of praise because Jalen Williams is a very, 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 very good basketball player. But my Lord, what Chet's doing, not just offensively, but defensively too, is crazy. We talked about Banchero and kind of how he changed his shot. Chet did that this offseason, and it seems to be helping. He's averaging 23 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.5 steals, and 3.5 blocks. I know it's a small sample size so far this year, and he's helping. And kind of the main reason why the Oklahoma City Thunder have by far the best defense in the NBA. They're allowing only 94.8 points per game. I think the Warriors are second at 99, so that's already a 5-point per game difference. And it's not like they've played some bad teams. They played the Nuggets on the road opening night and pretty much embarrassed them. They played the Bulls on the road. Bulls are 3-2. Bulls have been playing well against everyone. Didn't play well against the Oklahoma City Thunder. They played the Hawks at home, just absolutely killed them. And then last night, the Thunder Spurs game was men versus boys. And right from the get-go, Chet had, I think, 15 points in the first quarter. He was just bullying down low. And it was kind of eye-opening to me because I think everyone wanted to see the Wemby-Chet battle. And if you polled NBA fans at the start of the year, I think 85% of them would say Wemby's probably going to win most of those battles. It was a clear win for Chet first game. And we all know the Thunder's the better team, but I think a lot of us think Wemby's going to be the better player. But we got to give some love to Chet because as good as we think Wemby's going to be, maybe Chet's right there with him. And we talked about how good this Oklahoma City Thunder team is expected to be this year. I think, Jake, you and I both have them winning the championship. And so far, there's nothing that shows that they're not capable of that. 4-0 on the year. They've killed everyone they've played. They've done it by defense, but you're also doing it with one of the most explosive players in the NBA in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of the biggest mismatches in the NBA in Chet Holmgren, who, oh, by the way, both those players are probably top 3 in defense at their positions. Is that fair to say? I think that's fair to say at this point. So, and they're doing this with no Hartenstein. Caruso hasn't really done anything. They're kind of mix and matching the other guys they want to play, whether it's Case and Wallace, right, or Wiggins sometimes, with, their big 3 of Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and Shai Gilgeous. And this is a Thunder team, too, that's very live and has assets to go get another player, go get another guy who can help. And I'm looking at this team, and I go, if they're looking this dominant right now, where really they're relying on 3 guys. They're kind of mix and matching guys in kind of what they did last year, but no one's really kind of stepped up to be consistent. And they're killing teams like this. You gotta find credit to give it somewhere. And Shai Gilgeous was great. He was an MVP candidate last year. He's an MVP candidate again this year. But what's been the big difference so far? Chet Holmgren it looks like a superstar. We want to call Banchero that he's becoming a superstar. I think the number 2 pick as well in that draft class is becoming a superstar. And we're looking at potentially one of the better 1-2 picks in a row in a very long time because both of these guys are looking like generational type talents. And I'm blown away by how good Chet looks already. I mean, just the offensive ability, the aggressiveness, his defense, his awareness, everything. He looks like a 10-year vet. Yeah. And this is technically his second year. I get it's year 3 for him, right? But this is technically his second year. It's crazy what we've seen so far.
It's insane, man. I have 2 things on this. One being it's something that Bill Simmons said the other day, and it's just about teams that have depth in this league, especially in today's NBA. Obviously, he mentioned the Celtics, but next he mentioned the Thunder, and it's just like they're in this spot where they don't have Hartenstein for the first 5 to 6 weeks, and it just doesn't matter with this group because they just plug and play. You mentioned Caruso hasn't done much of anything yet, but that's the luxury of having depth in this league is you can figure out your lineup throughout the regular season, even when you have injuries, even, if this isn't the Thunder's case, but like the Celtics have guys like Holiday and Horford, like if they need a night off, and you don't have to do the whole load management thing, but you can afford a night off, and that the Thunder have that now, and it's just incredible. Chet's been awesome. And you talked about how Chet might even be better than Wemby to start to see. I mean, like he just is. Like he's way better than Wemby right now. He showed it against Wemby last night, and probably my worst take ever since the origin of this show. And you were right, Steve. Like his injury helped him immensely, and I probably still would have been wrong if he didn't get injured, but right before his injury, I said that I thought Chet was going to be a bust in this league. I just didn't see him panning out with the strength. The strength was the biggest thing for me. The raw skills, everything was there in college. I was just worried about his strength and how he performed in the low post. Fair. And then you see him bodying guys like Wemby last night, and I could not be more wrong about that. Easily my worst take since this show has started.
His strength might be one of his biggest strengths now. Like in 2 years,
he worked on all the right things.
Yeah. I mean, the dude is when I was watching him at Gonzaga, because guys, I love college basketball, and I loved that Gonzaga team. I'm watching him, and I was just worried every game his leg's gonna snap. And now I'm watching, I'm like, I don't know what center right now Chet isn't going up against and giving a good fight to. Maybe Embiid, right? Because Embiid's just bigger than everyone. But man, dude, Chet's awareness too, down low and everything, and he's just not backing down. His strength last year was it looked like he grew up. This year, Dunny, I mean, it looks like he hit the gym again, and he makes last year's Chet look small. Yeah. It's crazy how much stronger he is.
Yeah, bro, he put the work in. Yeah, it's definitely one of the biggest transformations that you've seen, and now it's sky's the limit for Chet. It helps. It helps with the Wemby last night. Like he can boss up on Wemby early, but that team it helps when his team is vastly superior to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everything. But he's doing a lot for that team right now. Like that's the thing, is he's contributing to a lot. The reason that they're a super team and not just one of these other contenders in the West, where there's a lot of very good teams, and they might be the only truly elite team in that Western Conference.
Nah, I might be off the podcast now. You got me. Only truly elite team?
Yes.
No, you're crazy.
Yes.
You're crazy.
Can I wait till January to see it, to say that? Can I wait till January?
The team that beat them in the playoffs, that got better, that has the team. Not truly elite. Only
Thunder got better too.
Thunder got better too.
I'm not saying they didn't.
You guys got worse.
I picked the Thunder to win the NBA. Don't you start? See now. No. We're not mentioning Tim Hardaway. I wanted to go one episode without hearing his name. I picked the Thunder to win the finals. I think they are elite, but to say they're the only elite team in the West, stop it.
This is perfect. Now every week in the news and notes, I'm just going to make sure there's some little Tim Hardaway and Bronny anecdote.
Tim Hardaway.
That's my nightmare is just watching them play one-on-one against each other. That's my nightmare. There's a Tim Hardaway Bronny pickup one-on-one. That's my nightmare. That's my basketball.
Let's make that happen. We'll put it on Peacock.
Yeah, I'm canceling my Peacock subscription if that's the case.
Just throw it on Peacock.
What's Tim's stats? Tim Hardaway Jr. is averaging 13 points this year per game.
What's
13 points?
What's he
third
shooting?
highest, not 46% from the field. So not great, but 13 points.
I know this was a Chet and Thunder conversation, but just because his name was brought up a couple times and the Thunder beat the Spurs, Wemby's only averaging 16.5 points. Fine. He's 7'5". He's shooting 40% from the field, 19% from three.
Yeah.
Like this, I don't know if we, the people, the media, overhyped Wemby a little too much. Obviously, it can just be a slow start, but like this, I think you got to be a little concerned here. Like the antennas, the eyebrows, everything's raising a little bit. I'm on Wemby watch right now.
Can I say something, Dunny? I think two things. I think number one, I think we might have overrated the additions the Spurs got this offseason.
Yep.
Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul, they're old. They're old. They're not the players they used to be. I mean, I'm saying that more on Chris Paul than Harrison Barnes. We knew what Harrison Barnes was, but they're old. They're not as great of help. We're also forgetting Devin Vassell hasn't played yet, and he helped Wemby a lot because he got a lot of defensive attention too. Wemby's just getting so much attention, and Jeremy Sohan has probably been the second best player on the Spurs so far. Branham there's guys on the Spurs that just you're looking like they really shouldn't be playing this many minutes or they shouldn't start. I like Stephon Castle, but he's young, right? He's young. He's got a ways to go. But I think we might have overrated the moves the Spurs made. And at the same time, when you overrate the moves the Spurs made, you kind of overweight Wemby to a degree because you saw what he did in the second half of last year with not a lot of help. And then we just assumed the Spurs were going to be better. But he's getting a lot of defensive attention. They're not making it easy for him. And his supporting cast isn't great right now. And I think before we really get concerned about Wemby's, efficiency and his shooting splits and all that, I want to see him play with Vassell back. I want to see
Vassell is a huge loss for them.
I completely agree. I think that is really gonna help Wemby because there really isn't after Wemby an offensive threat to this team. Jeremy Sohan's okay. He's a solid player, but he's not an offensive threat.
Yeah, he needs to be third in touches for them. Vassell needs to be one or two.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. You ready? You guys want to? Let's talk about what we're getting into for the weekend here. Let's see what we got. We got a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Big game each night. So let's do it. Friday night, the Denver Nuggets at the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves, there's a line here. 3.5-point favorites for the Wolves. Late night tomorrow on ESPN. I don't like the look of this Nuggets team, guys.
Neither do
Jokic is having to do way too much. Hold up. Sohan would cook. Sohan's like 6'6".
Yeah, of course he would, JBC. He's an NBA player. Of course Sohan would cook me.
Of course.
What is that comment? Ban JBC. You're banned next week from commenting, JBC.
Wow, next on Peacock, Stevie versus Jeremy Sohan 1-on-1.
Hey, listen, this is gonna be like
you know what? I probably would be the main event over Tim Hardaway Bronny. They'd probably be like, you know what, Sohan Steve probably gonna be more entertaining. Watch someone just lose 21-0 as he's getting dunked on the whole time. Maybe I chuck up a 3 and 1 goes in. Probably not.
Oh, Wemby's scary looking. I just saw that video of him. That's crazy.
Yeah,
he's going all out with the Halloween costume. All right, the Jokic thing really worries me that Murray and Porter just are kind of what we talked about before the season with the Nuggets. It all is coming to fruition right now. Jokic just having to do way too much offensively for them to stay in these games, and it scares me for the Nuggets as a contender. I think. With the Timberwolves, it's more of natural growing pains. Obviously, Cat it's a big change to not have Cat, and he showed what they're missing last night. He had 44 for the Knicks. That's a guy they haven't had. Randall's looked a little more comfortable getting in there now. Makes sense. Yeah, it's made sense with the Wolves why they've struggled out 2-2 to start. The Nuggets, though, that doesn't look like a fixable problem to me. Like just with them going for it, looks like they need to make a change to the roster or something like that because I don't know where they're at this point.
It feels like everyone on the Nuggets roster has regressed besides Jokic, and that's a big issue, especially our biggest concern of the Nuggets this year was the depth. And Dunny, I'm going to say this because I don't want to say it.
I know.
Because you and I are two of his biggest supporters, two of his biggest fans, two of his most loyal supporters, always defended him. I think it's finally the end of Russell Westbrook.
It might be, yeah.
And it's hard for me to say because I've always loved the guy. I've always defended the guy. I always say he's one of the most talented point guards I've ever watched. I'll fight anyone who tries to say he's not a winning player or he's overrated. I'll bring up the seasons he had with OKC, with the Wizards, whatever. He just doesn't look like he's got the same step anymore. Athleticism's down, and when you have a guy who's not a great shooter to begin with and you kind of lose your explosiveness, your athleticism, it really hurts. And it's just he's not a good fit for this Denver team. And it's just maybe Westbrook a couple of years ago, sure, but right now it's hard to say. But I think that's a big piece too because they don't really have bench depth anymore. Christian Brown starts, and is it fair to say he's been the Nuggets' second best player so far this year?
Yeah,
Is that fair to
not
say?
Murray or MPJ.
That's what I'm saying. Is that fair to say? And that's bad because they
MPJ.
don't really have depth.
I was curious just because the only times I've tuned into Nuggets games, it's been Michael Porter Jr. missing shots, and his shooting splits are 39.6% from the field, 29.6% from three. He's a 40% 3-point shooter on his career, and 60% from the free throw line. Like that's just not enough help for
Unacceptable.
Jokic. And the Westbrook thing, I'm in complete agreement. It sucks, but maybe shame on us. We're getting a little too excited I was thinking this Nuggets team was going to be better. So maybe shame on the Nuggets for relying so much on a guy like Westbrook at this point in his career, because I think he had 21, 22 points the other night and they still lost. Like if Westbrook's giving you 20 plus points off the bench and your team's losing, obviously there's some bigger issues there. But this is a guy who throughout his career relied on his athleticism, was never really a jump shooter, and now he's 35 years old. And I think you're right. It's looking ugly for Westbrook. It's looking uglier for the Nuggets. I mean, the way they're currently constructed, I just don't think there's any way they can compete for a championship.
Westbrook shooting 27% from the floor this year. Peyton Watson, who we thought would take another step, shooting 25% from the floor. Jamal Murray, 38% from the floor. And you said MPJ, Dunny, with his 39%. It's not great. And I think teams are just going to be like, you know what, we'll let Jokic have 40, 15, and 10 because no one else is really doing anything. And maybe that's the formula to beating the Nuggets, is just let Jokic just cook you down low, because eventually, like, he's either coming out of the game or you're going to attack him, get him in foul trouble, or you're just going to force him to pass.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, as good as a player as Jokic is, if he's passing to 4 shooters that are shooting under about 38%, not going to win many games.
No. And until his teams see those guys starting to hit shots, it's going to be pretty easy to defend.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I as it stands right now, I love Minnesota in this game. I know we spent a lot of time on Denver there. I actually been pleasantly surprised with Randall in the Minnesota games I've seen. I think he's lost some weight. I think he looks a little more light on his feet. I think he's just happy to be in a new situation. Like, this guy's smiling ear to ear every game. Mm-hmm. And something I wasn't anticipating, but I don't even know the numbers. Like, the numbers might not reflect this, but I love their just ability to put out this lineup with Naz Reid and Julius Randle out there at the same time.
Yeah,
that's fun. I think that's going to be important come playoff time. So, yeah, I mean, if we're looking ahead to Friday night, I think Minnesota should be able to handle business against Denver, much like they did in the semis last year.
Yeah, scary hours for the Nuggets, but we're all still bullish there on the Timberwolves. Saturday night, Cavs at Bucks. The Bucks already started. They're playing the Grizzlies, or no, in a little bit. I think at 7:00 Central Time.
I think it's 8 o'clock. The earliest start tonight. Yeah.
So depending on how that game goes, either the 1-4 or the 2-3 Bucks hosting the Cavs. The Cavs tomorrow night. They'll be coming in off a back-to-back Saturday. The Cavs tomorrow night play the Magic, as we talked about earlier. But this is just an interesting matchup for the state of the Eastern Conference and the Central Division, and they play again on Monday night too in Cleveland. Where is this Bucks team compared to this Cavs team who started out so hot? Because, even we had the comment last week about the Cavs that we can't talk about them until they get through the Bucks. It's right; they haven't won the Central yet. Right now, they clearly look like the best team in that division, but it remains to be seen. This Bucks team is not. It's just been weird vibes since the start of the year, from Giannis saying that he, if they don't win a championship, the team would trade him because he's not getting the results, and kind of like his way of like gaslighting the organization into saying, like, thinking that they need to trade him because, like, it was a weird comment to make. They lose to the Bulls, which the Bulls have been playing well, but that's at home. Then the Nets, which is concerning. And then you lose to the Celtics, whatever. That's expected at this point in the league. But it's just been a weird start, even though Giannis and Dame have played pretty decently so far. Like, the stats at least look good, but it's an old team, old roster. Can they keep up with the Cavs for 2 straight games? Can they do it at home Saturday night? That's the big thing for me. And to see the Cavs, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier. The Cavs have just been a wagon, though. and I just want to see if they can kind of keep this up, because Kenny Atkinson, man, it's a real thing with this Cavs team. The way they look different playing basketball offensively, but you got to thank JB Bickerstaff for giving them the defensive identity and the pride they have defensively. Still, Atkinson has a good system for them, but they care about defense too, and that's from all the years of Bickerstaff. So there's just good habits built upon utilizing them well. So I don't know. I think the Cavs have passed by the Bucks at this point, though, from what I've seen this year.
I definitely agree with that, and identity is a key word there, Jake, because the Cavs found theirs, and Giannis, after the loss to the Celtics, admitted that the Bucks do not have one. And that is, again, just not the comments you want to hear from your star player. As true as they may be, just bad vibes with the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, I watched that Celtics-Bucks game very closely. Doc Rivers admitted after the game that he circled Peyton Pritchard's name on the whiteboard before throughout the week leading up to this game, basically saying, hey, this guy's a threat. Let's not let him kill us. And he had 28 points against the Milwaukee Bucks. So that just kind of goes to show you the state of the Milwaukee Bucks. Also, shout out to Legion Hoops for posting this the other day, because I know we were keeping track last year. Adrian Griffin with the Bucks, 30-13. Doc Rivers since taking over with the Bucks, 18-21. So
crazy,
it's
I would
like
say comfortably the Cavs are past the Bucks at this point.
Yeah, I don't think there's any denying it. I think our biggest concern with Milwaukee coming into the season was the age, and they've shown nothing to show that they're, getting any younger. And also, too, I'm a little concerned with the amount of articles and news stories I'm seeing about, Giannis is probably going to force his way out, is the way they worded it, if Milwaukee kind of falls short this year. That not good signs. You have an aging team with your superstar. It might force his way out. Not great.
I just want to put this thought in your head. There's one team who has 1 million picks and a lot of cap room.
Don't do it to me.
Who's a contender right now?
Stop it.
We'd have to shut the whole thing down if you're about to say what you're about to say.
The parity in the league was fun while it lasted. If that were to be the case, that's for sure.
Yeah, they would be.
I would love to see him. Send him. Yes, that's what I'm talking
about. They'd be unstoppable.
My dream, though, is for him to end up in San Francisco. Put him out there with Steph.
Really?
Steph deserves it at the end.
Do you think the Warriors would make a move like that?
I think the Warriors would do it.
Yeah, probably.
Giannis and Steph would be.
Steph does deserve that. You're right.
You're in the thick of it in the West with those guys, at least with the Suns and the Lakers. It's still same thing, same category as them, and the Nuggets. The Nuggets really should be the team that should bend over backwards and give up everything. Imagine Jokic and Giannis.
The thing is, too, like any
I don't know if
team
that's
that
the
has
fit. I mean, they're both.
I don't know either.
Incredible. They'd make it work.
It'd be so weird.
Any team that has a better supporting cast than the Bucks right now, which is a lot of teams, is like they'd be better off with Giannis. And that's just kind of I don't know. I don't know if it was too soon last year to say this, but like Dame and Giannis isn't working, right? Like this. No. It doesn't look like it's going to work. I think they probably needed more youth around them if it was going to work.
Yeah, man. They're both averaging 28, and the next highest guy is 11.
Yeah,
that's not a recipe for success.
Again, we don't want to overreact too soon, but it just something looks like it might need to change in Milwaukee. Jake, so obviously, all that being said, pretty good confidence going into, obviously, unless like something unforeseen happens Friday. Pretty confident going into Saturday night against the Milwaukee
Paolo
Bucks.
is not playing Friday. I think they could lose Saturday just because the road back to back. That's a tough thing, but they're better than Milwaukee. So I do think they'll lose that game. I would bet on the Bucks if I were them, but I think that the Cavs could be 7-1 after the next 3 stretch. If you would have told me 7-1 before the season, I would have taken that. Yeah, fantastic. Taking that every time. So love that. All right, next we got up on here though is Magic at Mavs. I wanted to put this on here just so Steve could talk about his thoughts on the Mavs. Yeah, Sunday night. I guess I should have put the days on here. Sunday night, 7:30 on League Pass. So how are you feeling so far? 4 games in.
I mean, I'm feeling great. I don't see why I couldn't be feeling great at this point. I mean, the biggest question mark coming in was Klay Thompson, and he has answered every question I've had. He's played well on defense. He's getting wide open looks, and he's making them at a really great clip. The Mavs have Gafford and Lively, and they've been using both of them perfectly. Gafford kind of start off games. Lively will come in, kind of play the more important minutes at the end, but they can kind of mix and match based on matchups. Kyrie looks great and healthy. Honestly, Luka has been the only one who hasn't really looked too great, and that's just kind of been shooting wise. And it might due to him, not playing in the preseason and dealing with quote unquote injury coming into the regular season. But he makes the big shots when it matters, and a bad Luka is still better than a lot of guys' best players. So it doesn't really matter. But the supporting cast was kind of the biggest concerns coming in, and they've answered every single question so far. I really have no concerns right now. I'm very, very excited. We play the Rockets tonight, so I'm very much looking forward to that game too. But it's just it's all thumbs up here right now. I know we lost the Suns. You're not going to win every game, but like I said, we haven't really had a true Luka takeover game. I know he scored 40 in one of the games, but regardless, this is just it's a balanced offensive attack. And the biggest thing that I like from what I'm seeing with the Mavs this year, and I don't know how much you guys have watched of the Mavs, it's no more like Luka, Kyrie iso ball. They're passing. Yeah. They're passing. Guys are getting open looks. I know PJ Washington hasn't made a ton of threes, but he's getting open looks. Klay Thompson's getting open looks. Yeah, Luka and Kyrie can go one-on-one and iso whenever they want, but we're actually passing. I'd like to see more from Grimes and Jaden Hardy off the bench. I would like to see that. Najee Marshall's doing what he needs to do, just kind of playing defense. We don't really need him as an offensive weapon. But, I mean, Gafford's actually been passing well as a big. Derek Lively might be one of the best passing bigs that no one talks about. But they're just passing guys open and getting good looks. And then when you need a basket, right, late game or something, that's when Luka and Kyrie are turn into Superman mode. The shooting efficiency hasn't really been great for the Mavs this year, but they're 3-1. They're winning games. They're in every game. Play the Rockets tonight. I think we should win that, get to 4-1, and then the Magic at home. A lot of home games to start, which you love to see. But the biggest, I think, question mark people had coming in on this team is Klay Thompson going to help or hurt them? What Klay are we going to see? And guys, to be honest with you, Klay shooting 43% from three, averaging about 16 a game and playing good defense is the exact type of Klay Thompson I would have hoped for.
Yeah.
Kind of exceeded the expectations of a Klay Thompson, the Klay Thompson I expected to see. So, yeah, I feel great. The Magic are going to be a tough test because their defense is just incredible, and Banchero is kind of that mismatch for the Mavs. I mean, PJ Washington's a really good defender, but, stretch wings have bothered us in the past. But how do I not feel great right now?
No, you're right. It's looked good to me from my end. So everything you said, I've seen is just, the Klay fit is crazy. It's seamless. He looks like he's had the better shots. And you would think with Steph, it would be, easier, but Steph's running a lot of off ball too. So Klay's working a lot for those shots.
Yeah,
he's running around getting those. Right now, he's not working. They're just coming to him. So it's been fun.
The Mavs game that I've watched most closely was the Mavs Timberwolves. Mm-hmm. And that's a game where they didn't even really need Klay to show up and still beat a very good team. And that's, I don't know, Kyrie had some great games with the Mavs last year. That might have been the best offensive performance I've seen him have in like 2 years.
It was awesome.
As far as just pure scoring, he looked untouchable in that game.
He's healthy. He's healthy coming into a season. That's something we haven't seen in a while. And Dunny too. I think the biggest thing about that Mavs T-Wolves game is the fact that Anthony Edwards went nuclear in the first quarter, and the Mavs didn't let it get out of hand. They stayed with it. They were down. I think there was one point Anthony Edwards had 24 points in the first quarter, and the Mavs were only down 5. And they said that on the broadcast. They're like, Anthony Edwards 24, but the Mavs are only down 5. And their ability to just kind of stay in these games, whether if it's going to be a more defensive game or if they really got to get offense and they got to run the floor. They seem to be doing both. Also, too, Luka has not been staying down at the other end of the court complaining to the refs. He still makes his comments, but he's been getting back up and getting back on defense, which I don't know if that was an off-season thing where they said you got to start doing this or what. And I don't know how long it'll last. I don't know if it'll be permanent. But just to see that the effort on the defensive side is more than just like a PJ Washington and a Daniel Gafford, the bigs. The guards are playing high effort on defense too. And that's, like I said, the 3-1 record's great. The stats, the shooting, sure, whatever. But it's kind of the effort I'm seeing on the court, and it's the fact that they're playing team basketball and not just relying on Luka and Kyrie to go superhuman.
Well said. All right, last couple minutes, guys. Let's do it. It's time.
Here we go.
Spin the wheel. Let's let it rip. Don't give us
Warriors.
the Knicks again.
Who did we get last time? We got the Knicks.
Oh, who we got? We got the Pelicans.
Oh, God.
Thought I got my wish.
Pelicans.
Oh.
All right, we're almost at 120, so we'll go 3.5 minutes here of Pelicans talk.
That might be 3.5.
Who wants to start? Who wants to start? Zion, though? Not too bad. Not terrible.
I mean, yeah, Zion's,
I was worried about this
playing
team before the season, I will say, and it is not. They have not done anything to reassure me at all.
We can start with this. They had a 15-point loss to the Warriors last night, and Jordan Hawkins was their highest scorer.
That's a positive, though, for Jordan Hawkins. Jordan Hawkins has been a positive. I also think, too, Dunny, like, we got to remember that DeJounte Murray got hurt. CJ McCollum just got hurt.
Yeah.
They're playing without Trey Murphy. Herb Jones they're playing without now, too, because he's hurt. So you're missing 4 key pieces of probably your like top 7 players. So the positives to take away from this is, they haven't looked so good to start this year. Zion, like we said, he's healthy coming into a season, and he's playing well. That's a positive. I'd like to see him a little more aggressive offensively. I think he's only averaging like 18 a game, but that's a positive. But the other positives I think you could take away, I know, Dunny, you're saying that kind of, hating on the Pelicans, but Jordan Hawkins has looked good. He's needed to step up. He's looked good. He's playing well. And also their rookie, Misi, has played well in short spurts. Kind of as a rim protector they need, who only plays about 20 minutes a game. But sometimes when a lot of guys are hurt and your team's not playing well, you need these other guys to kind of step up. So I would say that's kind of the glass half full approach. Glass half empty, they can't stop anybody.
Right.
And I know guys.
I guess me mentioning the Jordan Hawkins thing was more, we can't blame them for a loss when they are missing that many guys. It's more so that in a 15-point loss, you have Brandon Ingram scoring 14 points and Zion scoring 12 points.
Agreed.
Even with all those guys out, I mean, it kind of goes into what we said at the beginning of the season. It's like, do we see them move Zion or Ingram? You would think it would more likely be Ingram, but we've kind of seen a lot of this Pelicans group, and maybe not the healthiest at times. Like, obviously, they're waiting for a bunch of guys to come back right now, but I guess just they might have to ask the question: does Ingram and Williamson work, and where do we want to go from here if it doesn't?
I think we see Ingram traded at some point this year, right?
Yeah.
I would be more surprised to see Ingram finish the year out as a Pelican than to move somewhere else. But like I said, I still think it's a very talented roster. We're super early in the season. It hasn't been a great start for them. And they, we talk about the Pelicans being banged up. That's not an excuse when you're losing to the Warriors rosters that they rolled out there back-to-back nights. So, and they also lost to my Trailblazers, which, 2 wins, guys, 2 wins. Trailblazers, they're fun.
2 wins. We just say that. Talk next week. 2 wins.
Beat the Clippers last night. But I wouldn't hit the panic button yet if I'm a Pelicans fan. I don't. Would you, Dunny? I wouldn't yet. I wouldn't hit the panic button.
No, I don't think you can just with that many guys missing. And this should, in theory, be a fun group, even if we don't think the Williamson-Ingram thing works, because we love Trey Murphy. We love Herb Jones. Obviously Zion is fucking awesome when it's working out there. And Jose Alvarado, who doesn't love Grand Theft Alvarado, but I'm still excited. I don't think you should hit the panic button. I think you should be just questioning what is the future of this team, because we see it time and time again, year in, year out, where a new young team figures it out and they're the new hotness in the NBA. You can't really waste time in this league is trying to like tinker with rosters and figure things out, which is one of the more difficult things about this league. But another Cavs team or another Thunder team could form overnight, and then you're a group like the Pelicans who has, I don't want to call Williamson and Ingram middling stars, but like they're not the top tier upper echelons, but
I think that's fair.
But they're both great players. But it's like, okay, you have this group and these great wings and defenders and some excitement, but what's next, basically? And I don't mean to trash on this Pelicans group, but I just do think they're in such like a weird spot where we're very hyped for them for a couple years. Almost everyone thought they would make a move in the offseason, which they did, but they brought in Murray, didn't ship out Ingram, which we were kind of all expecting. And now it just sucks that we start the year and don't really get to see what this full product looks like.
Right, and the DeJounte Murray is just such a backbreaker. So unfortunate, because even the first game before he got hurt, we were looking like, oh, he is a true point guard. It was a bad fit in Atlanta. He's going to be perfect fit for this team. And then, of course, you have the injury there. But no, Dunny, I agree. Last thing I'd say, I know you said middling stars, Zion and Brandon Ingram. Do you take either over Paolo? Because I don't.
No.
And I think if we had this conversation, maybe even last year, I think someone would say they'd still take Zion over Paolo.
Yeah, I think last year I probably would have said that. I don't think I would have taken Ingram at any point in Paolo's career.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I think you're right. In this league, you need to have a true superstar. You look at the best teams. And their success over the past 10 seasons. Every team that is even just gotten to the conference finals has had pretty much a true superstar.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a couple exceptions here and there, but for the most part, you need to have this in the league. And if you're the Pelicans and you don't feel like Zion is a true superstar, or you don't have a true superstar, then you're right, Dunny. You got to make a move or you're going to be left in the dust.
I agree.
Agreed. Well said. Well, guys, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you all.
Good night, folks.
Later, guys.